A budget of debt and handouts. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, because I thought we'd have a talk about the budget. It was released last night. I'm sure many of you watched it, like I did, and I don't think that many would be surprised. It really was a budget of growing debt and handouts. Apparently everything's going great, everything's fantastic, and it's all recovered, but here's, free money handed out to everyone, and here's some tax cuts, which I love. Tax cuts, fantastic. Keep more money in the hands of the people. But the problem is, they never cut the spending to match it. That's the thing. They never cut the spending. So if they cut taxes but they don't cut the spending, they're just going to tax us later. So what you need to do is, you need to think of it as free money, as found money, and then invest it to generate income from it. Okay, don't think of it as just money you can spend, because you're going to have to pay it back in the future, so you want to put it to work for you. That's at least the strategy I would suggest to people. So I put a poll to the viewers of the channel just this morning. What is your opinion of the 2022 budget? Now, 6% out of 316 that voted, and I'll do a refresh, 6% of you said it's fantastic, free money. Because you'll always have people that, they'll get some free money and they'll enjoy it. The pensioners, free money. Can't blame them. Take it while you can, guys. Honestly, they take enough from us. 26%, meh. Kind of like me, to be honest. I can't get riled up about it. Same old, same old. It really feels like it's buying votes, and I don't know if there's going to be much difference from one side to the next. And 69, the majority of you are angry. More debt and handouts isn't the answer, and I certainly agree with that. More debts and handouts isn't the answer, and I'm just checking my volume now. I think it's spiking a bit. Okay, so let's have a look at some of your comments. Stizza said, all aboard the gravy train, leading Australia's future generations off a debt cliff. What an entitled world we live in, and I agree there. Choo-choo, everyone aboard the Aussie gravy train. We print currency, yet the government has a budget. Cool story. Where are all the adults said. Nick, no foresight, just keep kicking the can down the road. Yes. Would you expect anything else? This is the problem with our, 3-4 year election cycle. I mean, this is why you want a mix of people in Parliament. Well, this is frankly why you want government to be decreased. You want a smaller government at all levels. The most important level of government, I'd say, is council, and then you go up from that is probably your state. What's the point of taxing us if they're just going to give it back? I said. Jeff, pretty pathetic they only cut the fuel excise in half. Yes, it would be much better if they cut it permanently and if they got rid of it all. But still, I think I saw on Twitter someone was saying they should use that money to subsidize electric car purchases. At least they're letting us use the money. Because I would much rather use that money from the savings of fuel to buy food. It's just me. I guess I'm just spoiled, wanting this food and stuff. Herbert, he wants out of Australia. I think there's a pattern here, Herbert. Region is saying where Venezuela, Canada, PNG, and South America, or Argentina, or Thailand. We've got a few viewers actually watch it from overseas, expat Australians that, live a really cheap life and an enjoyable life. Although I have a friend who's married to a Thai girl and they've got property there, but he's just bought some stuff up north, beautiful acreage. And I'm really happy for him. His plan is, I saw on Google and I saw he could run cattle. I quickly jumped on the phone, mate. Can I buy a cow off you? Can I get some beef off you? Hook me up. But I was looking around there, and prices are going up. This is around near Harvey Bay. Prices are really going up for property. Remember when Riverheads you could get a block for 10 grand? Now I'm showing my age. And Mr. James, once again, I get nothing. Very annoying. Don't worry, James. You get to pay for it. You get to pay for it, mate. Sorry. But yeah, that's the way it is, kind of. So let's have a look at this. An article from news.com first about it, and then another one from ABC. So, the federal budget 2022, one big problem with Australia's debt levels. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Now, as the coalition have just gone nuts on the debt, what is Labor going to do? The coalition can't criticize them anymore, so they'll just go insane. They'll have a party. You know, we'll all be getting $100 a day, dole, and then they'll wonder why no one's working in this country, and you get floods of people coming to Australia. People don't get it. They don't get it. So, the budget contains almost $9 billion worth of sweeteners, but there is one big problem with the massive package of promises written by Ashley Gleason. Future generations will be paying back Australia's massive debt for a very long time after this budget. Yes, they will. So, what are your options? Do you go overseas? Do you send your children offshore to get away from it? Or do you ever train them to become politicians or bureaucrats? It was just 3 years ago that Treasurer Josh Frydenberg declared that the nation was back in the black, announcing the coalition would hand down a $7.1 billion surplus for the 2019-20 financial year. But then COVID happened. Gross debt is now forecast to pass $1 trillion in 23-24 and hit $1.17 in 25-26, with net debt at $864.7 billion. And although a whopping $8.9 billion in living cost measures announced on Tuesday will provide much-needed relief through cash payments and fuel costs, it hasn't helped that situation. Mr. Frydenberg said that budget would be repaired without increasing taxes, with low unemployment rates increasing the amount of revenue coming through. The deficit for 22-23 is expected to be $78 billion or 3.4% of GDP, he said. Over the next 3 years, this will more than halve to 1.6%. Net debt as a share of the economy will peak at 33.1% on the 30th of June 2026, significantly lower than forecast last year. That's if the economy keeps growing as they're anticipating. And it looks like if Australia gets lucky again, particularly with demand for our natural resources, maybe we really are the lucky country, guys. Because we're a colony on the edge of the world and people are just hoovering up, other nations are hoovering up our resources. We've drawn clear lines, banking the dividend of a stronger economy. But the Committee for Economic Development of Australia has said that the budget relies on short-term fixes while missing the opportunity to solve things in the long term. Well, when do politicians ever do that? The budget has only taken modest steps to permanently lift the capacity of households to navigate the growing pressures of the economy. Chief Economist Gerard Ball said, well, yeah, they need to permanently remove the fuel excise and get rid of that entire tax. Okay, find other ways to fund the roads. Sure, there are ways to do it. We already pay a lot. What about all that money we pay in registration? Cut down, surely they could fire a whole wealth of civil servants, automate the paper pusher jobs, and then use that to actually maintain infrastructure. Can't you? Oh, wait, that would cause unemployment. The $8.6 billion of cost of living measures mostly benefit income earners and motorists, with many income support recipients receiving the least relief from the cost of living pressures. Well, they'll get it from the reduced costs of transporting goods, so they'll indirectly get it. They're already receiving free money, but it's never enough. With growing inflationary pressures and interest rate rises on the horizon, cost of living pressures will not dissipate anytime soon, and these measures do not provide a long-term solution. Better living standards for all Australians and insulating the economy and budget from global shocks requires stronger productivity growth. Well, here's the thing. Do you think growth or productivity growth from the nation can come from the government intervening in the market or from the government stepping away from the market? I keep seeing these ads. I'm seeing 2 ads at the moment that I must be the demo for. One is a bloke who wanted to spend more time with his kids, so he moved to WA. So I'm getting West Australian government propaganda to move there. And to be quite honest, it's it could be pretty nice living over in WA. But still, you'd have to fly over there. And the housing would be insane compared to Brisbane. Or probably on par. And then the other is for all these super companies that are avoiding investing in natural resources. I've got a lot of companies I've invested in that are paying nice, healthy dividends, all in natural resources. But there you go. So they're going to drive up the cost of our energy production here with the environmentalist agenda and the fear-mongering, that will reduce our productivity. It'll reduce our competitiveness. And then, hey, the Greens want $88 dole per day. Chuck that in there too. We're going to be even less competitive on a global scale because that's going to drive up all of the lower skilled wages. It'll push them all higher because, well, maybe that's what we want, but that again is going to make us less competitive because people are going to resent or won't work when they can earn decent money sitting at home doing nothing. What you need to do is you need to reduce the burden of the state on the citizenry. But that won't win your votes. That's the problem. That won't win your votes because there's so many people that don't pay any tax or don't really feel the burden of the state on them. Temporary relief measures have been underwritten by the fiscal dividends of a commodities boom and the better-than-expected economic recovery since the mid-year update. But future growth will not be this strong absent a major lift in productivity. Well, we'll have to see it. So that's the news.com article. Let's jump over to ABC and let's have a look at this one, the winners and losers of the budget. So let me know if you're a budget winner or a budget loser, guys. Well, we're all losers, aren't we? We all have to pay it back. But let's have a look. So winners are motorists, which are pretty much all of us. The fuel excise is going down. Oh, what a war in Ukraine. Come on. Anyway, 22 cents off per litre. There you go. Hopefully it'll start paying more than $2.20. Hopefully we'll get down below $2. I'm hating paying all this money in petrol. The winners, taxpayers, which aren't as many Australians as you think, or most people don't realise that they're not paying any tax. To help with the increased cost of living, low and middle income earners will receive an extra $420 back on their tax returns. The government's low and middle tax offset is also back for another year, meaning that some people may get up to $1,500 back at tax time. It means they've overpaid tax. It's not a gift. You've paid it. Okay, you've paid it, you're getting it back because you overpaid. So they're stealing less money from you. So that's good. Renewables are the losers. Why is that? No new direct funding in the budget for renewable energy generation. Yeah, because it's expensive. Let the market decide by itself how much of that renewable stuff goes overseas anyway. The winners are women. This is the thing. What do they have? Instead of offering two separate payments, 2 weeks of dad and partner pay and 18 weeks of paid parental leave, the two will now be combined, meaning parents can choose to split them between them in whatever way they like. Now, I would say this isn't a women thing. This is more a men thing. Because right now, as a dad, we only had 2 weeks of dad leave that the government pays for. But now you can split it. Each of you get 10 weeks. Isn't that great? I mean, honestly, you probably want more from the mother because during that time, the father is important. And really, it's to look out for postnatal depression, to be honest, and provide support to your wife. And for the mother, they need to bond with that child. It's really important. It's nothing is worse than seeing like a 3-month-old put in daycare because parents don't have any other choice. That's us turning back to Victorian England, where the destitute had to put babies in these type of places to work. So it will assist to promote equality between mothers and fathers and empowers families to make their own decisions. So, I mean, I would rather we reduce the burden on citizens so we don't have the state paying for this, but I still think it's at least a step in the right direction that it's ungendered. The mother and father can decide how to do it. Aged care, nothing really. A few more bits and pieces for aged care in this year's budget. Regional Australia. What are they talking about here? Barnaby Joyce has announced there'll be $7.1 billion over 11 years for a new energy security and regional development plan. Will we get some dams out of this? The money will go towards co-investment with states and territories or private companies in everything from upgrading ports and roads to building dams and logistic hubs in North and Central Queensland. Okay, so in the other article, the commentator is complaining about things for growing productivity down the bottom here, but we're just seeing investments in dams and infrastructure over here, which you'd assume would lead to growing productivity, cheaper energy, better supply of water. Those are important things. So wages, the losers. It's bad news for people's pay packet. Real wages are not forecast to grow until later this year, and at the earliest thanks to higher than expected inflation. Here's the thing, everyone. Whose responsibility is it for wages? I did a poll, another poll, on the community asking who is responsible for wage growth. 30% of viewers said the government, 24% said employers, and 46% said individuals. And we'll go through this in another video, but it's interesting to see just the breakup. I don't see how the government is responsible for wages. It's kind of a fallacy to think that they are. They're only responsible for manipulating the market and setting an artificial floor which results in unemployment and impedes the ability for the lower skilled people to get in the job market. That's what it does. And I suspect they want to do that because you've got a whole bunch of bureaucrats that their entire existence is based to helping these low-skilled people find employment with probably useless programs and wasted money. Isn't it awesome? Anyway, wages are only going to go... Well, here's the thing you've got to realize as well. We're in a global world, everyone. If you lock off the Australian economy and put tariffs up everywhere, our cost of living is going to skyrocket because everyone's a globalist at the checkout. Most people are. And wages need to grow. If you want your wages to grow, you need to upskill. You need to probably change jobs. Or you even need to ask for a pay rise. Some people can't even negotiate their own wages because there's a union between them and the wages. There's another party negotiating on their behalf. So who do they have to blame? Another winner, refugees. So, while the government is keeping the humanitarian program capped at 13,750, the same as the previous 2 years, it has announced an extra places for Afghan nationals. The budget includes $665.9 million over the next 4 years for an additional 16.5 thousand places for people fleeing from Afghanistan. There you go. I mean, you're not talking a lot of people here, and I think you get a lot of stigma in the media for Australia accepting refugees. But I would much rather this than you've got people coming over on dangerous boats and facilitating people smugglers. This is going to be a better outcome. Welfare recipients. Pensioners, carers, veterans, job seekers, and other eligible concession card holders will, plus some self-funded retirees, will receive a one-off payment of $250. Okay, so free money, handouts. Remember what I said, guys. You're going to pay it back eventually. So think of that as just found money. Don't piss it away. Invest it. Invest it or pay down debt. Do something smart with it. Don't waste it. The environment, neutral. Big spending on the Great Barrier Reef, which is completely fine anyway. The winner, Indigenous Rangers. Minister for Indigenous Australian Ken Wyatt has made a big commitment to grow the workforce of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Rangers. The federal government has spent $636.4 million to create an estimated 2,000 additional ranger jobs by 2028 in regional and remote parts of the country. The new funding will also encourage more Indigenous women to begin working as rangers on land and sea country. That seems like an awesome job. It would be bloody hard. It would be hard work. It would be remote work, but it could be quite satisfying. So, I like that idea. Work is the solution, and maintaining these natural resources. Even if they start burning off stuff and selling it as carbon credits to stupid city slickers, good on them. Foreign aid. So, are we cutting the foreign aid to Solomon Islands yet? We're going to save some money on that one. I think charity needs to start at home first. There's no huge increase. It'll still be around $4 billion a year. So there you go. First home buyers. Yeah, apparently they're winners. We've looked at this one many times in the channel. They're juicing up the first home buyer scheme. You need even less of a deposit. 35,000 places a year. A lot of it's in the regions. I think it'll drive up the cost of houses. It's all this intervention in the market. It won't work out well. But apparently this will win votes from first home buyers. That's what it'll do. Maybe that's how they're the winners. Apprentices. So existing incentives for employers of apprentices sharply decreases. A new incentive scheme is being created to encourage businesses to put on more apprentices and hand new apprentices some cash. But the bad news is it's less generous than the incentive scheme due to end in a few months. Okay, well, so pretty neutral there. Mental health. Now, with all of the lockdowns, restrictions, economic damage, mental health issues are getting exacerbated. We need to make sure it still gets discussed in the public because it's kind of disappeared. Because, well, people don't want to talk about it. It's something people aren't comfortable discussing. But a lot of people will go, most people, I think, will go through some mental health issues through their lives at one stage or another. And here's the thing, if you're a man, no one wants to hear. Honestly. It's a double standard. You gotta be stoic and really learn to deal with it. But funding for it, I think, is necessary. And hopefully, let's see what they're proposing. The government's putting in $500 million over the next 5 years to pay for the next stage of the National Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Plan. The money is split among several organisations, services and government agencies around the country, including $42.3 million for 4 years of Lifeline, $14.8 million 5 years of Headspace. Australians on mental health plans will receive an additional 10 partially Medicare subsidised visits to a psychologist, a measure first announced in the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so it's good that they're trying to do something about it, which I think a lot of people would be happy to see taxpayer money going to this as opposed to this or foreign aid or, subsidies for renewables for, rich people to have panels on their house. I'd rather see it in mental health. So, farmers. How are the farmers going to win? There's a tax break on the way for farmers who make money selling carbon credits. The measure, which the budget estimates will cost $100 million over 4 years, was one of the things the Nationals secured in return for supporting the government's net zero by 2050. The change means carbon farming income can be treated like other primary production income for tax purposes. Otherwise, most of the measures in the budget build on existing initiatives to streamline exports and protect Australian agriculture from biosecurity risks like lumpy skin disease. Okay. Beer retailers. The federal government has been rumoured to halve the excise or tax on beer, on draft beer, but there's no relief in the budget. Bugger. Damn it. I mean, not that I drink that much anymore, to be brutally honest, everyone. Every time I go to the bottle shop, I usually get myself some Dark and Stormy, and I'm shocked at how expensive all the booze is. But still, it's one of these guilt taxes that we're meant to pay to keep us healthy. And it's a small luxury people enjoy. Cyber spying. One of the biggest spends is the budget is $9.9 billion for the Australian Signals Directorate over the 10 years to bolster our cybersecurity and intelligence capabilities. It's called Red Spice, which stands for Resilient Effects, Defence, Space, Intelligence, Cyber, and Enablers Package. We'll see an extra 1,900 jobs created at ASD. Well, there you go, guys. If you're in, hey, get a computer programming job. Maybe you work for ASD, the Signals Directorate. Why not? My only concern here is how many of this resources will be used to curtail the liberty and freedom of individual citizens in our country. That's my concern with this. But as a nation, we are going to be facing continuing cyber threats again and again. Hey, just look at the World Economic Forum's warnings. Recycling. Okay, recycling. The government put $60 million aside in the budget to fund better technology to recycle soft plastics like bread bags and chip packets. See, I'm not even eating bread or chip packets, so. But if they paid me to collect it, I would. It's part of the government's much bigger $250 million recycling fund, which is designed to fund new and innovative ways to make recycling more efficient. The $60 million will go towards advanced plastic recycling technology and help the government reach its target of having 70% of plastic packaging in Australia recycled or composted by 2025. Well, at least it's not $100 million. Neutral young people. Outside of workforce programs like the new apprenticeship scheme, there isn't a lot to get particularly excited about in the budget if you're under 25. Well, yeah, there is. All of these things. Mental health, first home buyer, Indigenous rangers, welfare, jobs in regional Australia, jobs for tag. All of these things are for young people too. Hey, even some of the young people are women. Come on. What do you want, extra gimmies? Anyway, mental health, yep, yeah, okay. No changes in the budget for students at the university or TAFE. The Great Barrier Reef. It's been announced, but the budget includes $1 billion for the Great Barrier Reef. The government flagged early this year. I'm frustrated at all the propaganda surrounding the reef. I would rather, if they're going to piss this money away, how much of it is going to go into the communities around the Great Barrier Reef that are getting completely destroyed by the lockdowns and the inability of people to visit? Or will it just go to a few bodies to do, projects like trying to manually move bits of the reef around? Anyway. And the losers, tax evaders. Bum, bum, bum. This is a loser that most people are probably pretty happy about. The government is extending a task force that targets tax avoidance by multinationals, large public and private groups, trusts, and wealthy individuals. It's given the ATO more than $600 million over the next 3 years to keep the scrutiny on these groups. The budget forecasts the extension of the task force will make the government $2.1 billion in revenue from tax over the next 4 years. So, okay, hang on. What benefits from the increase to the low-income tax offset? So let's see, what's it, 70 grand? About the average income. You'll pay $1,500 less tax. Okay, let's see if you're on 100,000. $1,200 less tax. What about 250,000? Oh, you're screwed. What about someone on 40 grand? 900 less tax. So there you go. Well, guys, there we have it. The budget. More debts, more handouts, winners and losers. Let's have a talk. I can't say I'm at all surprised. I wonder if it's going to make a difference on how people will vote in the next election. What do you reckon? I'm concerned with the outcome for South Australia. I think a lot of people will take their frustrations at their premiers out at the federal government. We'll have to see what happens. I would love to see some minority people in the House of Reps. So some minor parties. And I'm not talking about, de facto Labor members masquerading as independents. I'm talking about real minor party candidates. We'll have to see, guys. Not really many surprises here in the budget. The debt's getting bigger. They're giving us money back that they're going to take back later. So be smart with it, guys. Just think about them coming, knocking on your door to steal it off you in the future. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. If you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I find and put together here, there are a few ways you can help out. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon, sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, or use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. And if you sign up with SelfWealth, we both get 5 free share trades, which really helps me out with my pocket money investing, guys. Hey, they're worth $9.50 each. They expire after a month, but that's nearly $50. A saving is a saving. It all adds up, particularly when everything's getting so expensive. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of the budget down in the comments below, and have a great day. I'll see you later. Are you a winner or are you a loser? Well, we all are when it comes to the budget, doesn't it? One way or another.